Hi, everybody.
Hey everyone,
How are you doing, Ashley?
doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I wish I could ask everybody here how they're doing, but I can't hear you, unfortunately. Um, we're so happy you're here. This is great.
Everybody.
Um,
Hey everyone,
oh, I need to mute myself. I'm
how are you
echoing.
doing, Ashley? Doing
Apologies.
good. How are you?
Where is
Okay,
that coming
good.
from? A rogue ghost recording. Okay, there we go. Um, we're so happy to be connected tonight. This program has existed for about 4 years. We usually do live events at our home on 42nd Street, which is really great. We love being together. In the spring, we sort of pivoted to doing these events digitally over the summer, and this is sort of our second little, bubble of events in the fall through now. And we're just really grateful to be able to continue this program, even though there's so much that we're not able to do right now, producing work, for the theater in the way that we love. But the goal of this program is really to equip audiences with tools to interrogate new work. We love our audience very much, and we want to make sure um, that they and you feel a part of the work. And um, so we're sort of stretching and expanding our ideas of what new plays and what new musicals can look like. So if you are not a theater maker, we're so happy you're here. We're really excited to share this time with you, to give Heather the space to share what she loves with you and how she thinks about making work. Um, and if you are a writer or a theater maker, we're so stoked you're here too. And this is maybe an opportunity for you to add some tools to your tool belt as we spend these long months, dreaming and sort of laying the foundation for the future. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for being a part of this. Um, the last thing I wanted to say was, I guess that's it. I guess I'll say my last thing a little bit later. Ashley, over to you.
Thanks, Carl. And yeah, just want to echo, thank you so much everyone for being here. I'm speaking to you right now from the homelands of the Munsee Delaware Nation and the Matinecock Chieftaincy. And I would love to just take a moment to situate Playwrights Horizons with an acknowledgement that we developed in conversation with the Lenape Center. So Playwrights Horizons acknowledges that our theater, located on the island of Mannahatta, is situated on land that is Lenape-Hoking, homeland of the Lenape. We pay respect to the Lenape peoples, Lenape elders, and their ancestors, past, present, and future. And as our theater's work and community extends beyond this island, we acknowledge that the Northeast is the homeland of many Indigenous nations. Playwrights Horizons pays respect to all Indigenous peoples who have stewarded this land throughout the generations and to their ongoing contributions culturally, intellectually, artistically, and spiritually. And since we're gathering digitally, I just want to also give a shout out to Adrienne Wong of Spiderweb Show in Ontario, who sagely invites us to take a moment to consider the legacy of colonization embedded within the technologies, structures, and ways of thinking we use every day. So a really brief order of operations for tonight. Heather is going to take the digital floor for the first 30 minutes or so, leading us through a presentation. And Carl and I are going to be floating off screen, but still here. I think Carl has a note for folks watching right now.
Yeah, so I sent this to you all via email, so you've probably already seen it, but a reminder that in addition, we're going to do some writing together tonight. And so for many of you, that will feel very comfortable. You have a practice, you know what that's like to sort of dive in. For those of you who don't have any experience writing, we're all in that together. Like we're all participating together, we're trying something new, we're going to see what comes out of it. But in addition to having a pen and paper to write with, Heather has also invited us to have a few other things sort of nearby. The oldest object in your current living space, the newest object in your current living space, and maybe a song whose refrain speaks to you in this moment. And if possible, you might want to be prepared to play that song for yourself. No one else will hear it. So, even if it's an embarrassing song, no one else will know except for you.
So yeah, Heather's going to walk us through this lesson, and then Carl and I are going to reemerge to facilitate a Q&A for another half hour or so. And so all throughout the lesson, feel free to drop any questions into the chat. And then, of course, you can also drop questions into the chat once we actually transition to the Q&A portion. We probably won't be able to get to everything this evening, but we're going to do our best to do that. And also just a quick reminder that we are recording this event for wider release down the line.
Yeah, so that's almost it for us. I'll just give a special shout out and thank you to Angela, who's helping us with some live captions this evening. Thank you, Angela, for being here and your work. And yeah, we'll be nearby floating, but I would love to welcome Heather and turn things over. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hello, Carl. Hello, everyone.
We're so happy to have you.
I'm really happy to be here.
Okay, so we'll disappear, but if you need anything at any time, don't hesitate. We'll be lurking in the fringes of the webinar. Okay, have fun.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I can't see you right now. It would be really incredible to see you in the Zoom room and feel you in the chat and really lead a back and forth writing workshop where I can hear from you. So we will do our best in this form. And there's so many benefits to this form in that we don't have to all be in New York. We can be all across the planet right now. So for those reasons, I'm really grateful. I just miss getting to feel like I'm really in conversation. Anyway, so maybe some of you are still gathering the oldest item in your current living space and the newest item in your current living space. Please feel free to gather them, put them in your writing space or the space you're going to be while we do this. I just wanted to show you mine. So this is my newest. This is literally a juniper angelica blue hardy evergreen. I liked it. It was not expensive at all, but it just had a shape that thrilled me, and evergreen and life, and the fact that I can stick this out on my New York windowsill in this deep cold that's coming and it will survive it all really meant something to me. And this I just got yesterday. So that's my newest. And my oldest, I mean, the oldest, I really had to dig around. I had lots of things from my parents. As probably many of you know, my dad's Iraqi. He was born in Mosul. So Mosul's seriously old. It's an old place. That heritage is just deep and ancient. And yet, I don't know that I have anything from Mosul that predates my American grandfather's Christmas star, which is falling apart, but I'd gotten it out as we were doing Christmas things and I thought I'd share it with you. So I think this is roughly 1920s. But we had 3 ornaments. We had 2 ornaments in the star from my grandfather's childhood Christmas. And this one made it to Brooklyn, which don't tell my mom, right? Okay. Why the oldest and the newest? Well, we're going to explore that today. I think I'm still exploring it. I'm endlessly exploring it. I would say there's a refrain in all of my work, and that's a real push-pull between the ancient and the modern. I'm sure that's because of my Iraqi heritage and my American heritage. But there's also a push-pull between how we reckon with the past and how we unearth our way forward. And I think that that feels really potent and right for this time that we're living in. So I offer that as a way to begin our writing. I'm going to take us on a handful of writing prompts, maybe a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes each. So we're going to do a lot of writing. They'll be talking later, but I don't want to chit chat so much. I want you to really get somewhere in the writing practice, whether you've never written before or you do this all the time. If I could title this something, I would title it Writing Refrain, because I've been thinking about the refrains in my work, and I've been thinking about the refrains in our world. I think the thing I most love about a refrain is it moves backwards and forwards at the same time. It's something that's ongoing. So I'm going to set my little timer. Get out your pen and paper. Okay, the first question. What is new about this moment for you? What is new about this moment for you? This is stream of consciousness writing. This is don't try to pick your pen up from the page, just keep it going. Don't judge it. The first thing that comes to mind is where you start, and then let one thought find the next thought. Don't overthink the question. This moment could be 2020. This moment could just be right this second. What is new about this moment for you? What about this moment feels as old as time? What about this moment feels as old as time? How are you pulled between the two? How are you pulled between the two? What did it take to get here today? What did it take to get here today to this Zoom, YouTube classroom? What journey are you on? What journey are you on? Describe that journey. What are 3 places you are from? 3 places you are from. And describe them. Or describe how they work together. Or don't work together. Maybe they don't work together. Mine are Midwest, Middle East, middle age. Let's see if they work together. What history do you bring to the table, or to this room? What history do you bring to the table? Or what lineage do you bring to the table? What is the oldest thing about you? What is the oldest thing about you? What is the newest thing about you? What is the newest thing about you? How does the oldest thing and the newest thing communicate within you or dance within you? Where does the oldest and the newest thing about you meet? If you could take one memory with you into 2021, what would it be? If you could take one memory with you from 2021 into 2021, one memory from your entire life into 2021, what would it be? It's a bit like a game, like as if you had amnesia. And that one memory would become the foundation of how you would greet 2021 in the future. What would that memory be? Okay, the next question, feel free to write it on your own or write it in the chat. And if you write it in the chat, I can read some stuff back. This question is, what does refrain mean to you? And what I mean refrain as in a song refrain, a poem refrain, the idea of repeat, not refrain as in refrain from passing judgment or holding back in any way. What does refrain mean to you? Free associate with that word. Refrain to me is something ongoing. It's an idea that I circle. The thing I love the most about refrains is they go backward and forward at the same time. When you hit them in a song, it's as if you're going back and catching up all the stanzas that came before. and yet it's pushing you forward. So it's both a return, a retrieval. It reminds you of something, but it's always forging new territory and meaning for me. And it's deepening each time I hear it. So what does refrain mean to you? Refrain is a memory anchor. That's beautiful. Refrain is a memory anchor. Gamal al-Sawa, a second chance. Refrain as a second chance. Or a third chance or a fourth chance. Beautiful. A through line. Refrain is a through line. Refrain is a reminding again and again until it feels true. Reminding again and again until it feels true. A through line, something to hold on to. Bringing knowledge of the past to the unknown of the present. Bringing knowledge of the past to the unknown of the present. A mirror reflecting itself infinitely. We have to capture all these and send them to everyone, okay? Okay, Carl. We're gonna make a list of these and send them out. They're so beautiful. A mirror reflecting itself infinitely. An opportunity to reflect. An opportunity to reflect. I'm a songwriter, so it means the part of my song when the main message begins to be heard. I love that, begins to be heard. I don't know why refrain also means to hold back from doing something. You know, I struggled with that today. I was like, what's the connection between this? And I couldn't come up with anything. Maybe we'll get to one by the end of this. 3 minutes to make your point. That's hilarious. 3 minutes to make your point. The repeating theme, evocative theme, place of familiarity that is both in the present and provides suspense, anticipation for the next cycle. Great, really beautiful. Really beautiful. Okay, so this is our little break time. We're on break. Let's say for 2 minutes, if you brought your song with the refrain that means something to you, play it on full blast and dance full blast. I'm gonna do the same, but so that you don't have to hear my song. I'm gonna turn my sound and video off. I know that's kind of weird in the Zoom room. I don't want to turn anything off, but honestly, blast your song and dance to your refrain, and we'll be back in, let's do 1 minute so that we can see each other. Okay, 1 minute, go. That was so hard to stop. I'm so sorry. That was so hard to stop. I love dancing. Behold the light now in you was my refrain for my song, which I just love. I could dance to that all day. I just want to read one more. It says, 2020 has been a refrain for me. My childhood traumas have come back to say hello to me, so I can work through them and be stronger for the next version of myself. I think a lot of us probably really identify with that. Divided we fall, a thought that repeats in my mind. Beautiful. So there's two ways that I tend to work. I'm sure a lot of writers would say the same. And one is inside out and one's outside in. So the first half, I kind of just did inside out. It's just all the ways we get the flow going, we get our writing going, we try to excavate our thoughts, our present, what's deep inside. And I'm going to lead us through a few exercises now that are more outside in, meaning thinking of a structure of something, not just the stream of consciousness within something. So our first exercise, we're going to work really quickly just because we're short on time. It's your 5 most significant life events. Easy peasy, I know. So draw it. You don't have to write it. You're literally just drawing it. And it can be like one of these maps with I have all these maps up because I'm working on a play about maps, but don't judge me. It's not a map about wealth, but like, what if it's just like circles of your life? So it doesn't have to be linear, right? It could be 5 most significant life events. This thing that happened in the middle of your life and a river runs through it is a different event. Like it's just draw it. Your 5 most significant life events. What's at the center? What's in the periphery? How does it progress? How does it move? You don't have to write with words. It's just a drawing. I'll give us 2 minutes for that. That's 2 minutes. Give you a little extra time. Carl, maybe we'll can you put that handout up? Great, thank you. So as you're finishing up your 5 most significant life events, I'm just going to read this. This is by Erin Henn, playwright, and I just love this and I live by it. And anybody that's done a writing workshop with me knows that I always share it, because it so speaks to finding a form or structure for what you're writing itself. I'm going to read it to you. Operating metaphor. I don't outline. There, I said it. I do, however, discover a shape, a form, a structure. If my play is about a 1940s swing dancing couple, it flows like a Gershwin tune, light and jaunty in the beginning, with pockets of sadness toward the middle, and a resolution that's bittersweet. If my play is about a man saying goodbye to his wife who silently wastes away, it goes from ritual to repetition to fight to exhausted surrender to freedom. If my play is about a flood and its victims, it starts with trickles of information, moves into an overwhelming storm of emotion, and finally resolves with a wiping away of all that has come before. The play tells me what its shape should be. As I dive into draft creation, My only job is to listen. So I want you to quickly look back over the writing you did and see if any two-line phrases come to mind, or two-word phrases, any gold nuggets, any refrains. What leaps out at you that speaks to structure? Think of refrain as a refrain in a song or poem. Think of it as a chapter title. Think of it as an offering or a prayer or something you would return to if you put it on your wall over your desk, that you would return to as you write over the course of, let's say, the next week. What is the refrain for the moment you're living in? What is the refrain for how you're reckoning with both past and future in this moment? Look through your writing and anybody want to share any refrains they find, put them in the chat and I'll read them out. An obsession, a refrain as an obsession. Evolving. I made it into a Venn diagram. I found a path from isolation to collaboration. Beautiful. I pulled out these just two-word things. I have forging forth, right history, as in RIGHT, right history, a long way back. He's fast. That just meant a lot to me. I could write a whole poem called He's Fast. There's nothing you can't do. I see that I'm running out of time. I'm going to let Carl and Ashley come back so we can have a conversation. But I guess what I want to say with where this operating metaphor meets this idea of refrain and what you have excavated in this writing time together is, now that you have those tools in front of you, and I'm going to go back and read these chat items, think of the shape that refrain could take as you work on writing this week. There's always a shape in, oh, I just want to read these. Yep. Recognizing that it needs attention. I am not me without it. There's one thing you should know well. Of this, there is no doubt. You cannot get inside again once you have come out. Turning in keeping with both the harvest and the decay. turning in keeping with both the harvest and the decay. Hole in my gut, extricating myself enough to breathe and be. I would have. My past is prologue. Excellent. We'll keep reading those as they come, but I'll end there, Carl. Even though I want to keep going. I want to hear all these things. We got to find a way to be in the same room together so we can write a piece, write a whole nother piece.
Hello, we're back. But yes, so folks, continue to please feel free to add any of these refrains or sources of inspiration to the chat, but also if you have any questions for Heather that you've been sort of mulling over during our time together so far, drop them in, and yeah, we just would love to sort of stay in conversation. I have to say, it's, we do these digital events and sometimes it does sort of feel like you're preaching to the void in a way, and just how wonderful and exciting and thrilling it was to see all of your refrains coming through so robustly. It was just really, really awesome. Even though we can't see each other, it does feel like we're kind of sharing this energy field in a way. And that was just a really cool moment. So thank you. I would start just sort of broadly asking Heather, what's bringing you joy these days?
Yeah. What's bringing me joy is the way my ego is getting whittled down, kind of melting. And then I'm just in the present. And when I'm in the present, there's so much joy to be found. Meaning I keep trying, I have these ambitions, like I'm going to do this. And then it's, mommy, I need this. Mom, I need that. I've been caregiving for my mother. Like there's all these things that need me. So it's really kind of like getting brought to your knees in any occasion and go, oh, well, there's joy in making you a sandwich, right? There's joy in this mundane. There's huge joy in connection and thanksgiving in what we're grateful for amidst all the hardship. There's joy in the resilience, in the very purposeful demands to make this world better and more livable. There's joy in that.
Yeah, thank you.
It looks like we have a question from the chat. Annie is wondering, is that the purpose of writing prompts, to see what our current issue is so we can explore it in our script writing?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of purposes to the writing prompts. I mean, oftentimes a writing prompt is just to get the flow happening on the page. So a lot of writing prompts are even just a beginning of like, write what you did today. That's kind of a vomit, even just to get yourself out of the way. But I do think they go deeper. I think they really are digging around to get to the center of an issue, or to the center of the thing that you maybe didn't even realize was there. I did the exercises with you guys because I feel like that's only fair. Right? And even though I'd planned what the questions were, right? There were total discoveries for me in what I wrote, things I had no idea I was thinking or even feeling. And that was some really delicious territory.
So I wonder, during this time of quarantine where we're all, with our, families or partners, in very close proximity, have you had to develop new writing rituals? Have you had to sort of reinvent your process in any way? And how have you managed that?
Yeah, no, I think for all of us, we're either completely isolated or we're never alone for a moment, right? And there's nothing in between. I'll say that the hardest thing is flow. I can't get flow going. So I have a lot of ideas that want to come through that I almost get them out and then somebody needs something. But I'll say that I move at the pace of nature now, not at the pace of ambition. And there are a million reasons why that's more comfortable anyway. My listening is quite attuned and very deep. I don't always get what I've heard to the page, but the listening is deeper than ever.
I'm curious about how you like landed on the thinking about inside out and outside in. Like, is that something that you consciously incorporate into your writing practice?
It is, and I think it's probably from being an actor for so many years, right? And I find that my musculature as an actor can work both ways. So there's a lot I'm excavating from the inside out as an actor, but then there's also just that sense of what is the structure of this piece? What's my blocking? What's being said? And I think that I found that both work for a play. So there's a lot of times I have no idea what I'm going into when I start a play, and I'm really just finding it from within me. And then there are other times I'm like, no, I want to write about this thing. And the structure of that thing is symbolized by this. So how would the form of that piece start from the very beginning? So yeah, I work both ways. And I think it's from decades of acting and needing to pull on both musculatures.
I'm curious if there's any piece of writing or cultural, like output, like television or film, like, is there anything that you've seen lately that you're just totally obsessed with, that you just have found really inspiring?
Yeah, this is a bit nerdy of me, but
We like.
this is so nerdy. I need to tell you what TV show, but I'm not gonna. I'm reading this book called The Value of Everything.
Wow.
I find it really inspiring. I'm writing a play about how value changes and grows, and values like a currency, and currency is a belief, right? So this book is just blowing my mind and making me rethink value, as I want to be rethinking value, as I think all of us are rethinking it. So yeah, that's the book that's inspiring me.
Lisa is wondering, have you changed your writing orientation / format in light of the limited near-term opportunities for live theater? And if so, what things have you changed / discovered?
I'll say I have and haven't. Where I have is changed is that I had a very big epic play I was working on, this one about value. It basically follows migration in the global economy. And I always thought this thing will never get produced. It's too big. It's too crazy. It takes place all over the world. It's too much. Everything about it's too much. It'll never get produced. So I never had high hopes anyway. And then suddenly, because of the virtual landscape, I started to understand how each scene in this play could take place across the world, literally. The scene in Palestine could take place in Palestine, right? It could also be the most communal way of reaching out to colleagues across the world and saying, hey, here's a scene, produce it in your own way, and mounting them together. So in a really lovely way, I had a problem on my hands that suddenly was offered maybe a solution or maybe a new way of working. So I'm really leaning into that. What I think is important to the soul of that play, though, that I think is something we should be discussing hugely, is how everyone can access theater now, and the many ways we can reach deep into communities far outside the communities we thought maybe were coming to the theater in the first place. For instance, my mom isn't going to the theater, but if I have the theater on in her living room, she's watching. So we have audience, not to mention hugely the economic, barriers are down. So I think that this is, yes, it is making me rethink how we make it, how we invent it. I'm personally loving it because of the way barriers are coming down. Of course, I miss things being live, but the reinvention of what an art action can be when those barriers are down is a mode of invention that I'm hugely excited about and don't want to rush away from anytime soon. I think we really have to take the good from this and bring it back into the theater, because this was a long time coming, and it's great. Some of it is really great.
Thank you. This is a question from Kathleen, sort of regarding marrying the inside out and the outside in, the two kind of different ways of creating. What advice would you have for those who are more outside in and structural in approach to writing? Do you have thoughts about ways to invite those folks to maybe like dig a little deeper inside of themselves?
Yeah, no, I think it's a super exciting proposition, because if you have an outside in approach and you can think structurally, then you can map things. Then you can have all these visuals and they can be placed and you can change orders. And then at least if it were me, I would just pick one up on a given day and go really deep. Give yourself a bunch of writing, just write stream of consciousness, just write and write and write and write every detail you can because then you can always move that puzzle piece around. It's an exciting way to work when you can see the big picture and then you're just fleshing out the details, because one can kind of endlessly invent details because you can throw them away, right? You keep inventing them until you get the ones that work. I find it's much harder to find the structure that works than it is to invent the richness of detail within a structure. But that's, give yourself writing prompts within the structure you have.
I think that's kind of related to a question from Annie about how to start a play. Like, do you just dive in? Do you give yourself prompts? How do you start a play?
I think I'm trying to think if there's stuff I've done for all my plays or if it's unique to each one. I'll say that there's something I love to do that I'm not always given the room to do it. I love to just free form write what I think the play is, any scene that comes, any character that comes, anything. I love to write for months and months before I go back and decide what it's supposed to be or how it fits together. And that's a massive luxury, and one doesn't always have it. But the few times I have had it, where I just let the thing come out of me kind of endlessly for as many months as I can kind of stand it before I ever look back at what the material is, has led to some really amazing surprises, because it has taken off editor or judgment or shape. It's taken off any linear form. So it kind of comes back to the refrain. I get to see what the real refrain is. I get to see what I'm going back and forth and kind of circling, rather than this is going to be a play. It's going to be a play about this, right? Like it really keeps me in quite a circular place, which is something that I value.
I'm curious, in some ways, like this time, because we can't sort of perform in the traditional ways that we're used to, like it occurs to me that maybe first of all, do you conceive of there being a difference between your writer self and your actor self? And And like, if this is a time when maybe there's not as many opportunities to engage with that performance part of yourself. I'm just so curious about that relationship between the the artist that is maybe more of a interpreter, or that's bringing something to life, as opposed to the one who like enters an empty space and creates something from nothing, you know? I'm just wondering if that's something you're thinking about these days, you know, those disparate parts of yourselves and how they relate to one another and how they inform your writing and acting, you know, back and forth.
Yeah, I was on a long walk with a friend recently who's an actress who mentioned that feeling inside her that she also writes, but she says, I don't really have anything to say. Like she doesn't feel generative. And I was really listening to why. And it was funny because the very reasons she didn't feel generative were the very reasons I do feel generative. And I don't see any difference between my generative acting self or my generative writing self, although most of the time in my world, I am writing more often than acting. But the generative part for me, I think, was born out of a very particular relationship with a world crisis. I mean, I was 20 when the first Iraq war started, and then I was 30 when the second one, and 9/11. Like it's just been this like every year begat a different kind of trauma in relationship to these two identities that were pulling on me. And there wasn't a genre of Middle Eastern American theater. Like there wasn't a genre in English. So this kind of sense of I have to generate for my own sanity, but also because the conversation I so want to have can't be had unless I generate the material, right? And I think that that's true again. It's true for me, and it's true for lots of artists. There are also lots of artists that are finding it hard to write. There are artists that just need care right now. Like there's a million ways this plays out. But I do think for me in particular, I'm so used to feeling like the conversation of stakes for me isn't in the world yet. So unless I'm writing it and trying to unpack it, I can't have that conversation. So I think that's where it lives for me.
Can you say more about the conversations that you want to have that you have to write in order for us to be able to have?
Well, I mean, yeah, for like, you guys know NOURA pretty well. So for that was really this conversation of how do we do this? How do we balance the individual with the community? America is the rugged individual. It's the pursuit of the rugged individual endlessly and always, right? And yet we are all called to community, and both are. What happens when one is not right or wrong, but both are needed? And how do you balance that? And how do you balance that, let's say, as a feminist or as a Middle Eastern person or as a Middle Eastern American person, right? Like it's a conversation that's happening in general, but not in specific. We're not after the balance. Lots of conversations are kind of on one extreme or the other. And I'm really trying to thread a needle with this, like, how do we do this? I mean, the conversation that I'm writing about now is really about how do we change our relationship to value fully, like economically. It's trying to, the conversation I'm trying to write about in the theater now is how do we change, what's the currency in the theater? I'm looking at currencies. Financial, all kinds of currency. The currency in the theater is empathy. how do we change our relationship to that currency? Not that empathy is a bad thing, but it's not the be all end all. So how do we, how can I, as a playwright, walk in with a play that doesn't end with empathy, that doesn't sell empathy, and still get someone to be able to do it if the currency in the theater is empathy? What if I'm trying to challenge things in a different way? So it's value structures that I'm trying to unpack at the moment.
Just a follow up. I was really struck when you were talking about like we're having conversations in general, but not in specific. And do you feel like theater is a place where we can be specific?
I think it is. It is a place where we can be specific. I think it's the best place where we can be specific. Whether we are or not is a different story. But is it the place? Yes. It is. It's the best place. Whether it's live or on the Zoom, I don't care. It's still the best place. It is inventive and communal. And it's a powerful, powerful medium. And I think it's the best place.
Before we wrap up, I realize I have one more question. And, you know, these spaces are such great opportunities for folks to connect to their artist selves and to like nurture, you know, their creative spirits. And so we find it so meaningful. Thank you so much for being a part of it. You know, this time is so strange and hard and awful and painful, and there's hope, but it's complicated. And I just wonder, you know, as an artist, of course, and you've been speaking about it so beautifully, and also I'm just like, as a person in this moment, you know, are there things you've discovered that are essential to your well-being or self-care, you know, not necessarily anything private that, you know, is important to keep to yourself, but is there anything that you have learned or are, you know, thinking about these days that you would want to share with those who are here tonight about ways that you find inspiration to keep going?
Well, that's a good question. This isn't, I don't know, I feel torn between answering it for others or just saying what I've done, like what my COVID experience has been making peace with loss, but kind of in a deeper way than I had previously. And it was I was forced to be quieter with it, more still with it, continue to listen to it. I wasn't able to channel it or do things with it or mourn it. I wasn't able to mourn it in any kind of funeral, right? So it became a very still and private place. And then within that, nature was a huge part of my life. My dad passed and I was living with my mom in Michigan, but where she lives, which is just suburban, there's tons of animals. So like when the hawk would fly and come close, when the turtle, 3-4 different turtles would be like, come toward me. Like I was like, what's up with the turtles? Why do I keep like, right? Like I got to see 2 turtles lay eggs 2 different times. Like it's just all these moments of constantly thinking I was in my own, this is what I meant by my ego was like thinking I was in my own thoughts. And it was like, no, God, nature is a happening and talking. So that's not an answer to your question. It's just it was the most beautiful way that I could be with loss, contemplate loss, was in this language that I didn't understand. Of course, we understand nature somewhat, right? Of course, we're part of it, but like feeling like I was at this turtle birth at these moments to just be with in this kind of isolated very natural way was healing, and I don't even know what kind of ways. I keep thinking about them. I keep going on walks. I keep contemplating. It's contemplative. I'm in a contemplative, prayerful place for the planet.
Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, believe it or not, we've sort of come to the end of our time. Heather, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you for your generosity. This has just been so fantastic. It's just such a privilege to see you and connect to you and collaborate and get to all be together with our audience who we haven't gotten to see for a little while. So thank you.
Lovely to see you too. Thank you.
So we have got one more of these master classes happening this year. This will be the 10th one we've done since April. And Craig Lucas is going to be teaching that a week from tonight on Monday, December 14th at 7. If you want to sign up, phnyc.org/pop. Please do. We would love to have you as part of it. Also, a mini bonus event that isn't a masterclass like this, but a conversation with writer David Adjmi, who is a Playwrights commissionee, has written a memoir called Lot 6, which is beautiful and has gotten a lot of praise. We're going to have an event with him this Thursday, the 10th at 6:30. Adam Greenfield, our artistic director, is going to talk to David about the book and his work, and Marin Ireland, the actor, is going to be there sort of reading and participating as well. She's a close collaborator of David. You don't have to sign up in advance for that. It's going to be on our Facebook page on Thursday at 6:30. But if you want to, you could sign up to receive reminders at phnyc.org/adjmi, which is spelled ADJMI. And then the last thing that I will say before I turn it over to Ashley would be, today we announced this artist relief fund at Playwrights, which is really exciting, and we want you to know about it. If you go to phnyc.org, there's info about it. Basically, we're going to be able to make 135 grants of $1,000 to 135 theater makers from the NYC community. The apps for that are going to open on Monday, December 14th at noon. And that application process will be open until the 20th, or when we receive 600 applications, whichever happens first. But phnyc.org, check it out, share it with your communities. We want people to know about it. So that's it for me. Ashley, I'll turn it to you.
Yeah, and just the last thing is that if you're at all inclined to support Playwrights Horizons and the POP program, we would be so grateful. You can visit phnyc.org/donate as the slide shows, or even text POP-PH to 44321. And if you want to share any reflections or insights about your experience tonight, Carl and I would love to hear from you. So you can write to us at pop@phnyc.org. And yeah, that's it. We hope you and your loved ones are taking care and staying safe. And we are so grateful that you were able to be here with us tonight. And thank you to Heather too.
Yes. Thank you, Heather. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.